the mic's turned up all the way? Turn them all the way up and then dial it back just a teeny tiny bit, like the tiniest little bit.
Go ahead and give it a test. Let you look at it.
How does that look right there? Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly how I want it.
Alrighty. Close this door. Get rid of some. Alrighty. Can you peek through there? Tell me how I look. Test 1, 2. Test.
We're perfect. This looks great.
All right, I just want to make sure I was a good distance.
Yeah. You're in the right spot.
Sweet.
Everything's perfect.
Alrighty. Testicles. Test 1, 2, 1, 2.
Give me some testes. You can't keep saying that.
I
That's
know,
so
that's so
gross.
gross,
That's
right?
so gross.
Give me some testes.
That's how we want it. You ready?
Ready when you are, bud.
All right. We're going to get it going in 3, 2, 1. Them Portal Boys be podcasting. This is Joshua.
And this is Elias.
And this is a super special episode. We're doing a season recap after season 6.
What an amazing season, man. Some bangers in this one. Definitely got the blood flowing. I loved every bit of it.
It was an adventure, homie. There was some that I didn't get to. It's ridiculous how much of a dork I am on this shit. I was all upset with myself because I'd only watched one of the episodes twice.
Yeah.
And I didn't have it fucking memorized.
Yeah, you didn't eat up every scene.
Yeah, I couldn't recall off from memory what was going to be happening, so I had to actually watch an episode once. Out of all the episodes, we only had to watch one episode. Really, we didn't even watch all of it. I mean, really, we only had to watch one episode to
kind of get refreshed on
refreshed on this, man.
And
we're on top of it.
That one was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the one where they're riding? The one with they meet the Dan Harmon alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the one that we had to
Yeah, I'd only seen that one twice, and that one I was just a little slow on it, man. I couldn't. Whenever we started talking about it, I couldn't recall what was happening. I couldn't just do it off the rip like the rest of them. But the first episode was called Solarix, and this episode was a ton of fun, bro. The primary premise of this episode is that Rick, in an attempt to reset portal travel, accidentally resets portal travelers.
Yeah, so it was a really great scene in this one. Whenever they were getting reset, and he's like, "We don't have any time to explain," and it's slowly resetting them back. So, what is it? Jerry's going back to his previous world, but it's super slow. And he's like, "You had so much time to explain."
I love that he was like, "You can't tell me you don't know why I'm pulsing green because you're also pulsing green.
Yeah.
So what's going on?"
And so Morty goes back to what is essentially Cronenberg world.
Yeah, so it's Morty's original reality is the reality that Rick and them Cronenberg.
Yeah, with the flu.
And it turns out to be Rick Prime's original reality, which is something that flew under Rick's radar. He's so out of the hunt that it didn't even occur to him that this was an opportunity to pin him down, and it was his Diane bot.
Yeah, you really love the Diane bot the first time we watched it because it was always in the other room haunting him.
Oh yeah, bro, you're always a room away.
Yeah.
Out of this world, bro. I forgot I wanted to be haunted.
Yeah.
Shit was crazy, bro. One thing that I noticed watching this episode recreationally after we'd already produced the podcast, I noticed something new.
You had told me about this, I think.
Yeah, you know what I'm about to say. Is that in Rick's living room, in his original house, in his original reality, they have the field that he walks through to get to his toilet on the planet that he made to be his big giant toilet.
Yeah, his big giant.
And so that is his image of serenity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Somewhere we can peacefully take a crap.
Yeah, and they literally have a big, huge photo of that field in the living room. It's so funny.
Yeah, and he it's funny because he has like kind of a similar thing he does on another episode where he has the liquor bottle. You remember the wine where he puts the wine that kind of lets inhibition kind of go away?
He has the secret window stash.
He kind of has a similar thing inside the garage too.
Yeah,
where he can kind of stash away liquor.
Secret stash.
Oh, I know, but yeah.
Everywhere.
Even in the White House, he probably has,
Oh, everywhere. Anywhere where he wants.
Yeah, exactly.
He most certainly has one. There was the Feral Jerry.
Yeah, Feral Jerry was my favorite part of this episode. Yeah,
Morty winds up having to deal with his original dad.
Yeah. He ends up like Jerry becomes self-actualized and like.
Yeah, he really arcs out.
Yeah, he arcs out. Yeah.
And so Morty's original reality, Beth and Summer both died.
Yeah. One of your other favorite parts, I don't know why I remember your favorite parts, was whenever he's eating the brain because it's the only part of the system.
Oh, it's good protein.
Is good. That's left to be good protein. Yeah.
It's like he goes on to question that since these brains are in such whole tact, he was curious if the original people were still just trapped in there in horror. And like as he says that, he fucking just chops the brain in half,
throws it on a stick, and sticks it in the fire.
Either way, great protein.
Anyway, great protein.
So we've gone over. They reset the portal travelers. There was the Feral Jerry. We've gone over Ghost's wife. Yeah. We've talked about how this reality is the original reality of Rick Prime.
Yeah. Which,
again,
and I think regular Rick actually ends up going to Rick Jamboree. It's not what it's called, but the Jamboree for Ricks, because that's where he got taken, right? I mean, no, I'm sorry. The reason he goes back to one of his particular ones is because he got swapped in the Rick Jamboree. Remember?
Bro, what in the fuck are you talking about right now?
When they went to remember they lost the
Are you talking about Jerry right now?
Sorry, Jerry. I said Rick, but I meant
okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's what I'm like, bro. What in the fuck is going on?
Jerry Baree is the reason why everything got so screwed up. Is because they, of course, they just grabbed a Jerry on that episode.
Well, remember they had the right one, and then they bumped into like, oh, I think we got the wrong one. And so there was that weird little exchange. So yeah, Jerry winds up going back. Our Jerry goes back to season 2 Jerry's house.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really fucking funny shit.
Yeah, that's great.
Rick Prime is a wild one.
Oh,
he's got this whole elaborate setup for intaking someone who might be trying to get him.
Yeah.
And I love that it turns out that it really was Rick Prime who was showing his ass in that place.
Oh,
because whenever he lands, right, and Rick, Jerry runs into him, Jerry's like, why are you naked? And he goes, well, I had my pants off to fuck with a guy.
Yeah.
That was Rick.
That was him.
He was fucking with Rick. He just admitted to Jerry that he was the Rick up in the station where it was an obvious trap.
Yeah, exactly.
Which this episode also while this is going on, is this the episode where the Beths have their little thing?
Yeah, they're so she gets the Wolverine blade. Right?
Yeah, and Summer has to break it down for him. Like, yo, it'd be dope if you'd be around more, but I'm not trying to get married. I'm with you all the time. I'm 17. My attention's fleeting. Quit trying to compete for it.
Yeah.
And they're both like, like, I could hear everything through this fucking headphone.
And one of the best things was she was able to tear through them with that, like, I don't know if it was adamantium, but the metal blades. And every time Beth would, Earth Beth or Clone Beth or whatever you want to call
Domestic mom.
Domestic Beth, yeah. Domestic mom Beth would try and kill somebody. She'd end up just mortally wounding them. and putting them in agony.
Well, you know what's crazy too is that she shot that guy in the face.
Yeah.
Like they just gave her a shit gun. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
that
Like,
is the truth.
Because she put several what should have been kill shots on that guy.
Yeah, I guess when you're seasoned though, like they just know how to just take them apart.
Well, I mean the holes that that Space Beth's gun left in that character were significantly larger. Like it just was a bigger blaster type shit. And so they wind up having to leave reality because as season 2 Jerry is on the way out, he's like, I told you guys no Buggins in the house, and he lets out Mr. Frumbles.
Mr. Frumbles.
And Mr. Frumbles bites Jerry on the foot, and Jerry's foot becomes another Mr. Frumbles. Like it just grows a face and it bites the floor, and just everything turns into Mr. Frumbles, and it turns into the whole planet. The whole planet becomes Mr.
And I
Frumbles.
think the ocean seeps into the Mr. Frumbles mouth, and it becomes a dark, like brown Mr. Frumbles. And they're like, can't we just fix this? And he's like, no, I'm not gonna.
They all just look back in silence.
Yeah.
And then the next scene is them cleaning up a fucking explosion zone in the living room.
Yeah, and it's essentially a kind of a play on the season where Rick and Morty have to bury themselves, and now they all have to bury each other.
Yeah, well, it's like it was just Morty.
Yeah,
now it's the whole family.
And everything's normal in that particular Earth, except they pronounce Parmesan wrong.
Kind of a rush job. Everything's the same except for how they say Parmesan.
Yeah,
they say Parmesan.
And Morty's like completely disgusted by the fact that they have to say Parmesan.
They all dislike it.
Yeah.
So, what was your favorite part of the episode?
That was badass Jerry. Jerry actually trying to cut Rick's throat.
Didn't try to.
Well, I mean, yeah, he succeeded.
If Rick Prime didn't have
body modification,
preventative measures to keep himself alive in that situation, he'd have died.
Yeah. And he gave him props. He was like, hey, you arced out.
It's like, oh shit, fucking badass. Bam.
Yeah, and just ends him.
What a badass.
What are
you even doing here, buddy? I've been asking myself that all day, and just shoots him right in the face. My favorite moment is Mr. Frumbles.
Yeah, Mr. Frumbles.
I'm Mr. Frumbles.
just Summer kind of like scolding it in the most adorable way.
I was like, why did you have that in the house? It's like, it's fucking cute. I thought it was cute. But so the next episode that we have is A Mort Well Lived, which is the Die Hard in the Arcade episode.
What a great episode. I absolutely loved this episode.
I thought it was a lot of fun, too.
I love Die Hard. I think most everybody does. Die
I've seen it once or twice back in the day.
It's just one of those, quintessential classic movie that everyone argues if it's a Christmas movie.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, right?
That's right, yeah. Yeah. There's some really great trivia in it, like whenever you get to really know that movie. Hans Gruber actually broke his leg, so throughout an entire scene, the guy who plays Hans Gruber, which is the same guy who plays Sirius Snape on Harry Potter, actually broke his leg, and so through a couple of scenes, he's actually like standing on one leg through the entire scene, because he's literally trying not to put pressure on an untaken care of broken leg.
Damn, what a gangster.
He's pretty badass.
That's like not how it happens in 2022. It's like, I got a hangnail. I'm out for 6 weeks.
Unless you're Tom Cruise, that's like the only person who's willing to like sacrifice their body for a role.
Well, Tom Cruise has also like made a deal with the devil. I'm certain that he's just like praying that he's gonna fucking fall off an airplane one day.
More like, what is it, Zune or something? I don't know.
Zune?
I'm just making up. Whatever the Scientology devil is.
Oh God! Whatever
Xenu or whatever. He made a deal with Xenu.
Yeah, whatever the Scientology equivalent
the
of
galactic devil.
Yeah, science devil.
Science devil. What a science devil would be Rick. He made a deal with Rick.
Oh shit! What a deal! What a deal! But so it's basically Die Hard in an arcade, and Rick is plugged into Roy. he's playing as Roy, and it turns out that this small contingent of alien terrorists, when they took over the establishment, turned off the power and flipped it back on, which caused the game to reset while Morty was jacked in, and that fragmented Morty into all 7 billion NPCs that populate the game, and so now Rick is logged in as Roy and is effectively trying to wake Morty back up into the reality that he's actually just one Morty fragmented into a bunch of NPCs within a video game, so that he can get them out, so that they can get out of this Die Hard situation.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that
help Summer with her Die Hard.
Yeah, Morty's been through so much. He's just like kind of done with reality, so he's like, I like it here.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely parts of him where he's like, I'm just gonna be president in video game world and do heroin.
Yeah.
Fuck off. You know,
so and clearly Dan Harmon has some demons with some, with the what is it? Whatever is it, brown sugar, whatever you want to call, whatever the Rolling Stones made fun of it. I mean, said whatever it was called, because that's the second that came up in The President, and it came up in another episode.
Hey man, hell of a time, from what I understand. Morty's all the NPCs, and there winds up being like World War Morty.
Yeah.
Right. Rick winds up effectively getting most of the Mortys on board.
Yeah, there's a fraction between Mortys that want to stay and
there's
Mortys.
Like 8% left who aren't going to leave.
Yeah.
And Morty's like, hold up, man. I'll get us all to get on ships and go, but you got to tell us that you love us. And Rick doesn't do it. And that immediately triggers all the Mortys everywhere. And they're like, fuck this. We're not going. And so it winds up being like half the Mortys want to leave, half the Mortys don't. And so their response to that is to kill one another.
Yeah.
Which is a heck of a reason to die. What can you do? Oh, geez.
Oh, geez.
And, but it winds up being that, you know, but they all decide to go, right? Like the one Morty who is holding together the whole resistance gives it up and is like, fine, fuck it, we'll go.
And I think he leaves
her
5%.
Oh, they just say in the end it's just centered around one old lady leading a fulfilling life.
Yeah, but it's still a part of Morty.
Yeah, but
he left like 5% or something behind.
I don't know if it would be one person.
Yeah,
I think is the idea. It's all centered around that one person, and so 1 person out of 5 billion is a very, very small fragment of Morty got left in there. Presumably, if not, then it's the 8% who didn't want to leave. Yeah. But I mean, at this point,
and I'm thinking you're right. It is the 8% because they put him on a spaceship and send him out into space.
Well, right? The truth is that it's a significantly higher portion because a whole bunch of Morty died.
Yeah.
And so all those Mortys who died in the game didn't get out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there's no telling how much. Ain't no telling
how much Morty was left in the game.
That's a crazy deal. There's a crazy deal there, but they wind up getting out, and of course, the moment that Rick's free, right? Yeah. The space terrorists stand no chance. Which Summer kicks the space terrorist's ass the whole time, doing a Die Hard. She like falls from a high place and crushes one, and
it tastes good.
And is disgusted by how it tastes good.
Yeah.
She winds up shooting one and thinking he's dead, but he winds up coming back and eating the main big bad and flying off into the fucking sky.
He has a complete like change of life in that time, and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Eats the guy. He goes, I think I just want to eat people again. I don't want to do this anymore. And then proceeds to eat that person and then fly off.
And what's crazy is like chest and legs open up as a big mouth and just swallow him. It's fucking wild, the shit they come up with on this fucking show. So what do you think your favorite part of that episode was?
So there's a point where Summer's basically reenacting the scene where he's in the ventilation system from Die Hard, and she's essentially mocking it. She's like, do a Die Hard, go through all the things, and she's kind of talking like
crawl through some air vents. Yeah, crawl through some
air vents. Do a Die Hard. So she's talking like an angsty teenager, kind of basically mocking John McClane's entire arc of the story, and also taking the piss out of the whole thing through what your favorite part is.
Which is when the walkie-talkies.
Yeah,
how they're living little guys, and they squeeze and they go, wah! And then somehow they're able to speak into that, and that communicates over a long distance. Like, it makes no fucking sense. And it's so funny, the way they, like...
squawk, yeah.
And their, like, eyes kind of bulge out of their head a little bit, and they just kind of freeze, like, ah! And then you speak into them, like, bro, this shit is retarded. Shit is insane. But the next episode was Bethic Twinstinct, which is the episode where the Beths have an affair together.
Oh, man. Yeah, they go to like a holodeck, which is essentially something that Rick made and is pissed off that they're using it to see if the relationship is worth going
You can just live lifetimes in a digital space compressed into a very short period of time.
And so they want to see if because there's like touching and glances throughout the first quarter of the episode. And I think Summer comes down to get a glass of water and finds them kind of flirting with each other. And while all this is happening, they got a game system from Space Beth, which is like...
Yeah, Morty got a new video game system.
Yeah, got a new video game system.
It's the most realistic video game system ever created or whatever.
Yeah, and so what essentially happens is they end up seeing, and it looks like it's going to pretty much pan out. Like the Beths live a really long and...
You're like watching the sunset on their life together.
Yeah, fulfilling life. And go ahead and take it from there if you want.
Well, Rick fucks with him about doing a full San Junipero in there, which I don't understand that reference, but it definitely made me laugh because I'm a Jerry.
Yeah.
And it all basically culminates with Jerry finding out about the relationship.
Yeah.
And he rolls himself up into a fucking pill.
Yeah.
He rolls himself into a pill bug.
Yeah.
Rick remembers installing it. And the Beths agree to basically let Rick lobotomize them, right? They're going to do a spotless sunshine, an eternal sunshine of a spotless mind on them, and they're going to... And Rick's like, whenever this doesn't work and y'all wind up hating me for it, I'm going to say that I tried to talk y'all out of it. In reality, I don't give a fuck. And right as he goes to push the button, Jerry's like, y'all, fuck y'all. Don't lobotomize yourself for me. I shouldn't have said I'd kill myself. I'm not going to kill myself. I'm just going to go and fucking cry at a Starbucks and find me a job on their Wi-Fi like anyone else would.
Yeah.
And he starts packing his shit. And somehow or another, I think Space Beth tries to call his bluff about how it's kind of just a tantrum.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jerry spins that into maybe if you had my consent, it wouldn't be so weird. And he basically winds up finagling his way into getting cut control in the relationship, right?
Yeah, he gets cut control, and then he kind of parlays it into a Beth threesome.
Bro, did we just come up with a new term? Cuck control?
Cuck control? Yeah, I think that's
is that what cucks are into? The control of being able to grant them consent? Is that the thing? Is that really where
I don't know, man, because I mean most of it is the fact that you're essentially allowing, I guess so, right? It's cuck control.
We just discovered it here on Portal Boys, y'all. Fucking cuck control. So Jerry gets his cuck control, and they're up there exploring each other. And it's Thanksgiving or Christmas.
It's Thanksgiving. It's
Thanksgiving. Right. Oh yeah, because what are you, a turkey Dracula now? God damn, what a good line. But they're up there, and being fucking ridiculous, and Morty's just
salting that turkey to an oblivion.
It has a pile of salt.
Yeah.
And finally, Rick's like, you know what? Let's
say
Thanksgiving. What are we thankful for? And Morty's like, bro, why? The Discovery Channel. Why?
And then Summer's over there crying and to her turkey and saying, "Water. I'm thankful.
Get some thankful for this glass of water here." It's just desperate shit, man. These motherfuckers are.
They're grasping for something to be thankful for, and it just it becomes this really weird. I mean, I think Rick said we've all thought about it, but we've never done it. Right? Or we've all considered it.
In reference to what?
The Beth and are I'm an egomaniac, but I'm not that big of an egomaniac or something like that, because Beth essentially fell in love with herself, and he's like, we've all thought about it. He's like, and I'm even an egomaniac, but I'm not that big of an egomaniac.
Well, there's masturbating, then there's masturbating.
That's right. Yeah, there's masturbating, then there's masturbating. That's right.
Like how Rick was pretty chill about it. He's like, hey, I've met infinite versions of myself. It means infinite shit's happened, Just don't let it get in the way of your important shit.
The man literally told Bird Person he was in love with them. He doesn't care.
Oh, and I'm certain him and Diane did some shit with Nimbus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Rick fucked Unity.
Yeah.
Like, had sex with every organism on that planet. Like, Rick's a dog. Don't make any mistake about that.
So, by the end of it, I think, what is it? There's this really great scene that you like as well, where Summer catches on, then Morty catches on, and as he begins to kind of like delve into the video game, so does Summer.
Yeah, Summer's like, I see you're into these video games. And he's like, I've always been into these video games. Just like, you're into them the way I'm into them now.
Yeah.
Like, you're staring off into them into a numb trance.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, man. I want to talk about it. She's like, it's like, you always tend to notice stuff before me.
Yeah.
She's like, but you always notice.
Yeah.
Both like, yeah. And that's actually whenever Jerry comes out and they force him to play the video games.
Yeah. And the thing is like, they're trying to keep him from noticing, but the video game is like, what is it? Is like
it literally
cheating wife.
Yeah. Well, so they
simulator.
put it on a random game and it puts him on a cheating wife simulator.
Yeah. And the ice cream, they go to blah 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 9 to go get.
Oh, they're going to the Gloopy Droop system.
The Gloopy Droop system.
Yeah, because Gloopy Drooplians, they don't have as many taste buds as us, so they have to pack flavor into their food.
Yeah.
It's a wild episode.
It's a great episode,
but it really all culminates with Jerry getting the cut control, and everybody just kind of being at a loss with it.
So, I'll just say my favorite scene was essentially the salt scene. You kind of recalled that for me whenever the salt pile is just getting higher.
Yeah.
Higher, and he's just kind of like trying to force himself to not pay attention.
Yeah, just
to the
desperately trying not to fucking pay attention to what's happening. I think my favorite part was the way they did the zone out transitions. Like both times, whenever Summer realized what was going on, her face didn't move on the screen, but it just went from her being right there to her playing the video games. Mm-hmm. And they did the same thing with Morty, whenever he discovered the same thing. Another thing I like, too, is that Rick went and made his own remote control. Yeah. And when he made the remote control, he put the crest from the whale on the remote control. Yeah. The whale had a little crest on its face, and he pulled the crest off of it.
One of the better scenes, too, is... real life Street Fighter where you may not even fight.
Oh yeah, you gotta find one another. Yeah, they went to the wrong mall. But so on to the next episode. The next episode is fucking Night Family, and this episode is so much fun.
Ridiculous! What a great horror themed episode.
Yeah, right. Like it was a neat vibe. They did really really good with it. Rick goes and gets what's called a somnambulator, which allows his subconscious mind to take over his body while he's asleep and do what he programs it to do through the somnambulator.
Which is essentially doing crunches. So
he has it doing crunches. That's what. So he has these fucking gangster ass abs, and
Morty wants in because he sees that he's cut now.
Yeah, and when Rick tries to say that no one can have it, Summer acts like she's cool with that, and that drives Rick up a wall, and he gives it to everybody.
I think she just like starts eating. She's just like
nonchalantly. She looks into her phone and just like looks away. Like, is completely unbothered by this fool.
Yeah.
I love that Rick and Morty do an ab podcast, Fabsolutely
Abulous.
Yeah, and they're doing the ad read for Boxer Lobster Boxers.
Yeah, Boxer Lobster Boxers, and they're gonna get, was it Ruth Gator? Who was there? No, they were gonna have some kind of like politician on there. Maybe Nancy Pelosi. I think they were gonna have Nancy Pelosi on their podcast, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Morty said that they were gonna drop her on his abs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Summer winds up. So Summer's night person winds up being super pissed about them not rinsing their dishes.
Yeah.
And so Jerry's pen paling his night person.
Yeah.
And Jerry's night person is asking Jerry to ask the rest of the family to rinse their dishes for the sake of Night Summer. And Rick is like, fuck no.
Yeah, like.
And then the Night family winds up destroying all the dishes. So Rick goes and gets indestructible dishes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Night family clears out the entire house.
Yeah.
And then
he literally goes to like this planet with this giant just to make indestructible dishes.
Yeah, it's like a forged planet. Yeah. You owe me.
Yeah, instead of not even apologizing, just rinsing the dishes. They don't even have to apologize.
So much more effort.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, my job isn't to make the Night family's life easier.
Yeah.
It's actually the opposite. And so Night Summer winds up taking control of the Night family, and they tie Rick down and wake him up and fucking scrape food scrapes into his mouth and make him eat it. Rick wakes up the next morning. What the fuck is your problem with me, Summer? So pissed. Oh, your fucking night person just made me eat 470 diarrhea.
he literally fills a bucket up with puke.
Oh, baby Jesus. But so they send Summer into the Night family as a double agent.
Yeah.
With the sleep deprivation suit and the fucking
Dayquil, Mountain Dew, and it was like some sort of energy, like Monster Energy.
Something to keep her the fuck awake. And so she puts the thing on the thing, and she puts the thing on the thing, and it evidently like disables the somnambulator.
Yeah.
And Rick uses his fucking saliva on the broken eggshells in the egg carton and the trash tech to take down the fucking force field around the house. And then that's whenever Night Summer reveals herself to have actually been in control of Summer the whole time.
Yeah, it's weird how she does it too, because she like kind of like her eyes get sunken in, the eyes get darker around on the bottom, and she starts talking.
Your
slow.
opinion means very little to me.
Yeah.
Type shit.
Yeah.
And so Summer is actually a triple agent and turns on everybody, and they've turned the like household equipment into tech bots. Like there's an oven and a dishwasher and washing machine, and they have this huge chase scene where they're chasing everybody down.
And Rick, it was made like kind of like a sleep serum to try and get them to, basically Night Rick has created a sleep serum to try and get them to go to sleep. So
dank ass tranquilizers, basically.
Yeah, to get them to go to sleep so that they can become their night people. And so they're essentially fighting over trying to get away from that night serum or the
they're being chased by Summer, who is riding one of these household appliances that have been modified by Night Rick to be murder bots who are rocking fucking tranquilizers that have been developed by Night Rick.
Yeah.
And she's literally riding this thing around, chasing them through town, and every time that someone gets hit, they become a night person. Right? And so this fight keeps being crazy, and I love how at one point it's nothing but people on the team and Night Jerry, and everybody starts beating up Night Jerry, and Night Jerry's like, I'm on the team.
Yeah.
And ultimately the Night family wins, right? It winds up being all Night family minus Rick, and they hold him down and they try and strike a bargain saying, look, this all can stop if you just rinse your fucking dishes. And Rick's like, no, thank you. And so they have this like 70s horror movie fucking end credit scene where the credits are rolling, and it turns out that the Night family goes and just lives their absolute best life for as long as they can until they run out of money.
Yep.
And then the car gets repossessed, the house is on the way to being repossessed, the credit cards are all turned down, the Summer cell phone doesn't work anymore. I mean, it's just a dog shit situation. And Night Rick proposes that he has a piece of technology that can remedy their situation, and that's a revolver. And they shoot the somnambulator, and when they do that, they all collapse, and the regular family wakes up, and they have to deal with the
repercussions of night.
The repercussions of the night family literally going and spending all their money on living their best life in the short term.
Yeah, what a great episode, man.
It's a wild one. There's a lot of ups and downs, and there's a lot of crazy shit. What do you think your favorite scene from the entire episode was?
It was whenever she's like, what did she say? She goes, like y'all are, what is it? You are all such clothing experts, sarcastically.
Oh my God, y'all! What are you wearing? Because you guys are all such clothing experts. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the best.
That's
thing.
2 episodes in a row where Summer being silly's been your favorite.
Yeah,
bro.
man.
You might be a low key Summer simp, bro.
Nah, I think it's just they're giving her good scenes, man. Because the first one was the worms.
I need to come up with a way to combine Campos and Goldenfold.
Goldenfold.
Yeah. Golden Post.
Golden Post, yeah.
Yeah, Elias Golden Post out here has sexual fantasies about a cartoon underage girl so raunchy and depraved that he has to hide it in the dreams of his friends. If I wake up one night having a nightmare about having sexual relations with an underage cartoon character, I'm gonna absolutely know it was because of you.
Well, all I know is that I don't eat shit, so I'm not anything.
How long have y'all been eating shit? We don't eat shit. Oh, neither do I.
Neither do I. Bro. Like, hot dogs are the best or something like
Goldenfold's one of the best fucking stupid ass side characters.
Principal Vagina is pretty much up there too.
Principal Vagina, no relation.
No relation.
I don't know where it comes from. I think it might be Scandinavian. God damn it. The shit they come up with is so stupid.
Oh my goodness.
I think my favorite scene is, I know what my favorite scene is, where they scrape that goddamn food off into Rick's mouth and make him eat that shit. God damn it, that shit was violent, bro. So crazy.
The garbage truck scene was such a good scene too.
It's just such a change of pace from every other episode. Like it was
Rick actually getting his comeuppance.
And like just the vibe is dark and they're scary, and like the music and the tension they created. Like it was such a drastically different feeling.
Get Out or some kind of
it's just a drastically different feeling than what I'm used to feeling while I'm watching Rick and Morty. And so the fact that they were able to create feelings that strong, that are that drastically different from the typical range of emotions that they're facilitating for me is really dope.
It really is.
Like they've got a really awesome little platform here where they can do a really, really wide range of things with it. But the next episode is Final Destination. It's the fortune cookie episode.
What an amazing episode to make, just entirely to make fun of Gwyneth Paltrow. I love it.
Bro, whenever she's like, I wake up every morning and rub my vagina across Chinese lemongrass. It's like, bro, what in the fuck are you all talking about?
And then another character that eats shit. Just happens to be alien shit and stuff.
Well, we all have been. If you've been eating fortune cookies, you've been eating alien shit. Yeah, dude, it's a wild deal. And Jerry, so they all go get Chinese food at Panda.
Yeah, Panda.
And Jerry, so literally, like 2 of the family members get the same fortune.
Yeah.
The rest of the family members
have good fortune in your business endeavors or something.
The rest of the family gets trivial, menial fortunes, but Jerry gets one that says, you're going to fuck your mom.
And so what ends up happening is Rick makes...
Well, they want to go to the zoo.
Yeah, they want to go to the zoo.
And Jerry isn't trying to go because he's freaking out about this situation where he's going to potentially fuck his mom. And so he dresses up as Morty on the way out because Beth is Morty's mom.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, bro, well, it's way too much to unpack here. And Rick pretends to scan him with a thing. It's like, hey, y'all, I just took a scan. There's some abnormalities. We're going to have Jerry stay back.
Me and Jerry are going to stay behind to get this figured out. And he essentially tells him, don't ever let anybody discount your feelings.
Yeah, like, man, you might be the stupidest person I've ever met, but you have a right to take seriously whatever you want. And I couldn't watch you get bullied into going to a zoo.
Yeah.
And he winds up actually scanning him, and there's some weirdness. And so he makes him do
like a double-blind study.
A dick in a box experiment where it's like one box contains a picture of his mother, one box doesn't. It's like, all right, which one of these boxes would you prefer to stick your dick in? And he, every time, no matter how tricky Rick gets with it, picks the one that has
the picture of his mom in it.
And so Rick concludes that clearly someone's trying to fuck with him.
Yeah.
Right? This is about me. Someone's got some like weird god level shit going on. I need to figure out what the fuck's happening. And so they go back to the Panda Express, and he just opens the door and is like, y'all wanted my attention? And they just start shooting at him. And it turns out that the Panda Express in their local city is running a citywide meth ring.
Yeah, it was a front for meth. And he's like, I don't give a shit. Deal meth. Break the law. Do whatever you want.
Break laws. They shouldn't exist in the first place. And they kind of have this laugh because they've killed like everyone in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And
real G sees real G at the head.
What is it? You DEA motherfucker. And Rick's like, hold up. DEA?
Yeah.
And Rick's like, give me egg rolls. Or, give me the fortune cookies. And they both realize, like, hold on. He's here for fortune cookies.
Mm-hmm.
They think I'm the DEA. No. Like, we can
fix this.
We can tip our hats to one another right now. You guys are. He's like, sorry about killing all y'all's peeps. He's like, it comes with the territory.
Yeah, he's like, hazard of the job.
Literally. And so the Panda Express people, I love how one of my favorite moments in the whole episode is when Rick's like, check it out. Y'all are going to give me the location of where y'all get y'all's fortune cookies and a van in exchange for me not turning you guys in. And I was like, all right. And the fortune cookies are coming from a company called Fortune 500.
So stupid. So great, though.
And they go all undercover spy guy on this shit.
Yeah, they go dressed up in the uniforms in the van to go get cookies, and then
retinal scans.
Yeah, and it come to find out that like every inch of it is covered in cameras. Every
so
inch
many
of the
cameras.
Yeah,
over 300 cameras.
Yeah, the plant is cameras. The everything's cameras, and so Jerry's along for the ride. This is a Jerry and Rick episode. Like Jerry's along for the ride to find out if he's legitimately going to be stuck having to have sex with his mom. So they come up against a couple of guards, and the guards end up eating a fortune cookie, and one of them says, "You'll have great."
Well, so before that happens,
okay,
Rick uses his stealth tech. He uses like a bunch of cool stealth tech.
No, he has one thing that, what is it? It constantly changes them. It cuts down on having to change clothing. It's, what do they call it? The Sailor Moon cut.
Oh my God, this motherfucker gave a Eye of Thundara, give me suits beyond suits. And then they give Jerry like a whole transition. And I love that they wind up reusing the transition later to dress Jerry again. And Rick's like, I could feel the savings. Feel the savings. But yes, they do wind up running into a contingent of guards who wind up taking fortune cookie power-ups type shit. All my shots will be headshots. I can control water. I can control fire. And Rick tries to like Pokemon his way through the shit.
Yeah. There was this is one of the, like, she ends up giving like a TED talk, right?
Oh yeah, Gwyneth Chunt is giving like a TED talk, and so they go another level further.
Yeah.
And that's where Rick realizes that it's real. He's like, oh shit, they're like force feeding people bad fortunes that have done wrong. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, someone who like didn't make their quota in the company to like basically give them better, like, I guess, like, to essentially move forward the company. Says something, it's like a real strange one, like a friend or something will kill you or some. Yeah.
Your dick's gonna get caught in a frozen yogurt machine at the UN. He's like, oh no, I know that frozen yogurt machine.
Oh God, what a Such a stupid cartoon. I love
it. It's so silly.
Oh man, and so yeah, it's gonna go down. So like he ends up infiltrating more things as it goes along. And like I said, he comes across the two guards that have the emergency fortune cookies. You said one of them has like, you'll have great fortune in the next fight, or you'll have somehow it sabotages.
Yeah, you're gonna have great luck in your next
great
fight
luck in your
shit.
and it sabotages all of his tech.
Ah, be damned.
Yeah, and then the other one is like, you'll get you'll get nothing but headshots or whatever, and
all kinds of shit.
Yeah, and they end up getting into the ventilation system, and that somehow moving further into the company.
And they wind up getting to where the fortune cookies are being produced, and they see that it's alien shit.
Yeah.
And it's a type of alien that eats chaos.
Yeah.
And it has a stomach disorder that's causing its shit to bend reality towards particular potential outcomes. Yeah. Because fate works like a field, like gravity.
It's essentially, like just moves throughout space and time. We can cut through it. We can swim through it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it bends it. It works like space.
Yeah,
is the way gravity works. And so they wind up having like this big boss fight, right? Gwyneth Chunt, she winds up eating like all these different crazy fortunes and turns into this big crazy monster. And then the alien that's been doing the pooping winds up taking her out.
And as all this is happening, there was a podcast. I don't know if it when we talked about it, but there was a certain time where we were at the hookah lounge, and I talked about where the video game Echo came from. And it came from in the 1970s or the 1980s. A woman had a sexual relationship with a dolphin. It just so happens that they bring up the same monologue on this episode where this guy ends up having fallen for the alien that he had been forced to milking and taking care of, and thinking that it's mutual. But your favorite scene comes up where he's talking, he's like, it eats him. It essentially just like devours.
Shoopity boopity or whatever. And it literally like has 4 mouths, and they just grab a limb each and just pull them apart.
Devour them.
It's perfect.
Like, it wasn't consensual.
Was it? It's like, just like her. I had some type of sexual relations with a wild animal with the expectation of it being reciprocal.
Yeah.
Whoops. Type shit.
Whoops did he do? Yeah.
And then so the boss fight happens, and the container of, what was it, chaos that the animal would have been eating fell and broke in the middle of the room, and it just created this,
opened a portal.
It opened like a portal of sort, and it just started sucking everything in. And oh my God, sticks to walls guy.
Yeah, sticks to walls guy's bones come out of his body.
Just suck out of his face hole. Suck his whole skeleton out of his face. Rick's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He's so like, even Rick is like, oh,
he really stuck to that wall.
Oh shit.
It was almost as bad as water guy. Moisture guy.
Oh, you control water.
You control.
Gross.
Water. Yeah.
Gross. Oh, Rick was gross. But ultimately, Rick winds up having to, oh my God, before we get to that, they bring in Jerry's mom. Your friend brought me in a limousine. And bro,
he had been ghosting her all day because she kept texting him from the airport.
And bro, when the chaos opens up and it rips her pants off, she's, oh my God, I'm so wet. And she's just like, and Jerry's getting sucked in towards the chaos.
All of his pants get pulled off.
He's just gonna land balls deep in his mom, and Rick winds up having to choose between saving the monster and being able to use its power for his own will, or saving Jerry. And he chooses to save Jerry. He actually didn't even have to save Jerry. He spared Jerry the trauma of fucking his own mom.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a situation where he was going to save Jerry. Jerry wasn't even heading into certain death. Jerry was heading into
trauma.
Was heading into certain penetration.
Yeah.
And Rick chose to save Jerry over acquiring a unique new power that
only because he had already acquired a unique power, which was, as long as he didn't develop another friend, he was essentially a god.
Yeah, well, so they described throughout the episode that basically you can't. You're basically immortal so long as you have an unresolved fortune.
Yeah.
And Rick wasn't planning on making any new friends.
Yeah.
But after Rick saved Jerry, Jerry's like, bro, thank you, friend. And Rick's like, fuck, bro, why'd you do that? Jerry's like, I want to take it back. And he's like, bro, most friendships end, especially new ones.
Yeah.
That doesn't
change
make it
the
not
fortune
work now, man. Like,
yeah.
Fuck. But so, that's it, right? They Jerry gets issued the fortune. They go on this big adventure to figure out what's going on. Rick saves Jerry from fucking falling victim to this terrible fortune. Jerry calls him his friend, circumventing
the
new power that Rick had been able to acquire as a fucking consolation. And now, like, man, it's just all bad for Rick, but the episode ends.
Yep.
And so, what do you think your favorite part of the episode was?
The dolphin monologue, because it was something that I had just casually brought up in a conversation of us being stupid and probably really high on pot, and then it comes out as this really funny monologue in Rick and Morty.
Yeah, it's right. That's fun. Yeah. I can get. Yeah, that was a coincidence.
Yeah,
that was not lost on me either. I think that my favorite part is that she knew Rick's name. She knew Rick's name.
Bitch, you know my name.
Well, whatever. She was like, "Who is that guy?" Rick was like, "Oh, we should have fucking blown this building up. Fuck this." And then whenever she eats all those fortunes, she goes, "I will stop you, Rick Sanchez." And Rick's like, you knew my name, bitch. I knew it. But so the next episode is Jurassic Mort. I love this episode, bro. This is I think one of my favorites of the entire season.
You really did like this episode. I'd say this one was.
I'm a sucker.
It was a good one.
I'm a sucker for.
Yeah, this one was good for me, but it wasn't like one of my favorites.
But at this point, portal travel is still broken, and dinosaurs return to relieve us of duty, and
make a utopia.
Yeah, basically they're like hyper intelligent, and so Rick takes the president out to Westworld barbecue.
Yeah.
And basically everybody's fed up with having been relieved of duty, right? Everything's been too chill for too long.
Yeah,
no one has
people need
to
conflict.
Do.
They need.
Everybody's just been set at the kids' table, right? And everyone's fed the fuck up with it. And so the president's trying to ask Rick to go and deal with the dinosaurs. And Rick's like, bro, you know what I want? I want to host the Oscars.
Yeah.
And so
because everything's peaceful and nobody's having any fun. Like everything's resolved.
Well, and like Rick gets to be Oscar host, Rick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's got their gimmick. That gets to be his gimmick for that episode. You know what I'm saying? Like he's gonna eat that up. But ultimately, the president agrees to get him the gig. So Rick goes and confronts the dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs are just so fucking zen and snooty.
Yeah.
And act like they're so much better than him, and they like give him a fucking pamphlet. And then before he's even able to, they give him a pamphlet and they give him a portal gun. And they point out that their portal gun is better than his because it doesn't shoot green portals. It shoots holes that you can see through.
Yeah, so you can actually see where you're going.
And they send him back against his will, right? And it like peels his skin, then his muscle, then his bones, and then it like brings him back the opposite way. And the first thing that Rick does is he puts their new portal gun in a fucking hydraulic press and just
disintegrates,
squashes it into nothing.
And I think Morty says, "Wow, that was incredibly painful." He's been through so much that even agonizing pain is still like, yeah, that was ridiculously painful.
Yeah, and so Morty starts showing Rick this pamphlet, and the dinosaurs are pretty on point, but.
Yeah.
Rick decides to go and see, because basically he concludes that if anybody's being that perfect, it's because they have skeletons.
They have skeletons in the closet, yeah.
Like Tom Brady. Tom Brady spikes kittens into the concrete. Don't ever forget it.
Nah, Tom Brady is basically, he's $250 million poorer.
Bro, this man is Goku. He gave up on his family and friends to go get fucking championships.
Yeah, he's 200.
And then he got roasted all season.
Yeah, he's $250 million poor. His wife was having an affair, or began to have relations with her jiu-jitsu, yoga, exercise instructor.
Yeah.
And he had a terrible football season. So one season of spending a little bit more time on the field basically tragically ruined this man's life.
Man, he needed a particular amount of distraction.
He invested in that Bitcoin company that everybody invested in and lost money on.
Oh, nice. Go tell him for getting caught up in a fucking scam. But so, Rick, through his tracking these former planets of the dinosaurs down, is able to understand that the dinosaurs have been basically, through the virtue of their own existence, have been beckoning these barely sentient asteroids that come and decimate the planets that they live on. And he like crashes their party where they're giving away Jerry's book for free, and they didn't give him the credit for it.
I love that. Yeah, Jerry didn't get any recognition for the book he wrote about how to basically be submissive. Yeah, how to basically be
never trying, never fails.
Yeah,
I mean, based, but Rick crashes the party, informs everybody, and everybody like kind of turns on the dinosaurs.
Yeah, and Anderson Cooper turns on him because they can stop it at any time.
They have to go on this big campaign, this big media campaign. Joe Rogan's like, do we even know if the asteroids are real? We don't even know if the asteroids are real. And they're like, oh no, we know they're real. He's like, sure, maybe. But you know what's definitely real? A rear naked choke. Let me show you. You're like, what?
The funniest thing was when the kid goes up to the dinosaur and says, I don't like dinosaurs anymore. I like trains.
Trains rule!
Trains rule! And the dinosaurs are just heartbroken that they went from loving dinosaurs to loving trains.
So basically the dinosaurs become exiled. They decide to go to Mars to attract the asteroid to Mars instead. And while they're doing this, Rick is hosting the Oscars.
But
Rick does this bit, and they, through a bit of dialogue, reveal that everything at the Oscars is
script. Basically taking the piss out of anybody who thinking the Will Smith slap was real.
You know, like even that one thing clearly alluding to the Will Smith slap. And then, so Rick, after discovering that the dinosaurs are about to sacrifice themselves,
refuses to let them do it.
Bails on the Oscars and goes and decides to call their bluff and have himself get evaporated with them on Mars. Elon Musk be damned, we're destroying Mars, and they just don't have it in them to allow Rick to get disintegrated
let someone
alongside them. They just can't. They're too good. They can't allow it, and so they choose to get rid of this one barely sentient rock to save Rick. And Rick's
they call him a dick, right?
They're pissed. Rick's like, "Welcome back." He's so pumped that they had to fucking commit an act of violence, and they don't. And he like drug them back down to his level, like. God, that's all Rick wanted was to fucking prove that y'all aren't fucking better than anybody. And I love, congratulations, humans. Earth could have done worse.
That was great.
The dinosaurs, in an act of malicious kindness, seal up the rift. And Rick's like, "Come on, man, we were gonna get at least like 3 episodes out of that. You can't seal up my rift. I was gonna fix that."
Yeah, seal up the rift.
No, we're just doing helping people.
Yeah,
they get in
malicious kindness. That's so great.
They get in their plane and fly the fuck off. And I love at the end they had they proved the planet where they thought that the dinosaurs weren't dinosaurs, they were grindosaurs. They proved them right. They really were just.
They like somehow pull out skateboards from wherever they like just summon skateboards.
Just screen left.
Yeah, summon, and they start grinding everything.
Well, so what do you think your favorite part of that episode was?
So I had on here that it was, Jerry not getting any recognition for the book, but I think it's the kid saying that I like trains now. So it's a little bit of both. Like Jerry not getting that recognition, but when that kid like literally says, I don't like dinosaurs no more. I like trains. And then they're just devastated heartbreak.
Trains rule.
Trains rule, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's like kind of one transpirance. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That kind of all goes
with it all kind of rolls into one.
We can count that as, I think the way you could chalk that up would be the dinosaurs symposium gone awry.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the moment in the episode that you like the most.
Definitely.
The dinosaur symposium gone awry. My favorite, without question, is whenever Rick squashes that goddamn portal gun out of pettiness.
Yeah, that was really
Whenever
funny.
he threw that, I swear to God, Mikey, whenever he did that, I had to fucking pause the episode because I was laughing so fucking hard. That shit blew my mind. Because, I mean, whenever it reached Rick's hand, I was like, it's pink and weird and just,
Yeah.
Like, I just hated it. I hated everything about it. And then whenever he just shoved it in a hydraulic press and erupted it, bro, I just lost my shit.
And the best thing was like Morty just not getting it. You know, he's like, but that was like a portal gun that was better. And he's like,
nothing they do is better.
Yeah, nothing they do is better.
But so the next episode is episode 7, Full Meta Jack Rick. This episode is motherfucking crazy. This one right here.
This one is a trip.
This one right here is a lot. This one right here is a lot to keep up with.
Just this insane episode when you have, I think it's another dinner table scene, right? Starts off with a dinner table and them getting stuck in a loop of previously on.
Yeah, I mean, the way they started the episode was very difficult.
Yeah.
I watched it on YouTube TV, and so mine came in fresh off an ad.
Yeah.
And so it went from ad to weirdness, and I was like, did I just miss something? Like, did I miss the intro? What the fuck is going on? And it, like, threw me for a loop. They did a really, really good job of actually sincerely throwing me for a loop. Yeah. And it turns out that they have been the victims of, what's his name? Previous Leon. That's why. And so Leon. It's just basically like, and he's a like 5 foot tall sentient mosquito who fucking sucks on you. And
like
gives
drains
you, like, gives you previous memories.
Yeah, to set you into a lull so that it can basically drain you of your ambition and life.
Basically gives you the feeling that the Rick wafers will give you, except
exactly
he's draining you. And so they wind up escaping the hold of previous Leon, but they wind up having to fight Jesus and Story Lord simultaneously, and they pretty much get their ass kicked.
Oh yeah, Jesus wrecks shop.
Yeah, Jesus. I mean, Jesus does. My God, this man. It's so hard for me to choose my favorite on this episode because this and the one that I chose were so good. But man, Jesus doing the Bane on Rick,
so great.
And Rick referring, he baned me.
He baned me, Morty. He baned me.
It's so good. It's so good. But so we get to meet the Dan Harmon alien.
Yeah,
who is Story Lord's writer.
He's on his knees with a lighter, heating up a hot dog.
A Vienna sausage.
Yeah, he's like, this is the French style of cooking.
This is a very sophisticated diet.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you're a fucking piece of shit. But
in the refrigerator is a spoiled lime, a half drink, an open bottle of soda, and that last hot dog.
Yeah, it's
just depressing.
It's bad, but Story Lord winds up squeezing the alien equivalent of Dan Harmon, and the alien writer decides that he's going to make it canon for Story Lord's motivation to find his motivation. Yeah. And
he's completely pissed off about it. He's like, what? Like, my motivation is motivation? He's like, yeah.
But he accepts it pretty quick after that. But he definitely questions it real hard at first.
Yeah.
And so at this point, Rick and Morty have previous Leon tied up.
Yeah.
And they're bringing him to the headquarters of the Self-Referential Six. And the Self-Referential Six consists of Miss Lead, Flash Black, Connie Tenuity Error, Protago Nick, and Mr. Twist. And the real twist is that there's not a 6. There's only 5.
Yeah, you are the twist.
But Miss Lead, she can do all kinds of crazy shit. Like, she'll get you thinking one thing and then literally change reality moving forward. They're way OP.
Yeah.
Rick had a piece of tech that was able to allow him to prevent the effects of what Mislead was trying to do to him, but Flash Black went back in time and saw how Rick created this stuff, and so they were able to conclude really quickly what they could use to circumvent it, and it turns out it was petroleum. And so continuity error summons effectively a big fucking stack of petroleum barrels behind Rick, which would be a continuity error, but that's her thing.
Yeah.
Like, it is a continuity error, and she has the ability to summon them. And Protago Nick comes in. He's got the ability to make anybody the protagonist of a particular fucking situation.
And then so the coward security guard ends up becoming a protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's Marvin, the coward security guard.
Yep, Marvin, the cowardly security guard. It's beautiful.
Ends up becoming his own protagonist in his story. And his wife says, he's like, I did it again. And she's like, if you hadn't done that, you would have been Marvin, the coward security guard.
Yeah, like, you wouldn't be my husband. Yeah. They go and find Retcon, and Retcon, his cell is made of sports because they're the opposite of stories. And Retcon
is so overpowered that
Retcon isn't like grateful of Rick trying to let him out, but like right whenever like Rick's trying to have this negotiation with him, the self-referential six walk through the door. So Rick's like, you know what?
We were always friends.
And hits the button, and this like dips, and man, Retcon is like way OP, bro. Makes it to where
continuity
error could have always been killed by coffee. Makes it so that Mr. Twist was born with no bones. Just man, all kinds of makes it so that there was never anything outside of the fucking makes it so that there was never anything outside of the prison.
Yep.
And then makes it so that the prison has always been an orange. And so Rick and Morty just go off past the fourth wall, walking off into cold, abysmal nothing. And right whenever they accept death, they get saved by Joseph Campbell and previous Leon.
And so what I was telling you is that Joseph Campbell is basically a professor that talked about the hero's journey.
Yeah, he like gave it a name.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It was like the person who like came up with it as an idea.
Yeah, exactly. Which was
this thing that we keep seeing throughout all of history. We're going to call it this:
the hero's journey, which is basically the come up, the fight, whatever. Just the entire thing that happens in most every movie.
What was that?
The controller to the Xbox.
Oh, cool. Fuck it.
Yeah, ain't hurt.
But Story Lord winds up stealing everybody's motivation.
Yeah.
And they wind up having this big fight, right? Morty has to talk alien Dan Harmon out of continuing to spin his mechanism that's sucking everybody's motivation out with the help of the ghost of Joseph Campbell.
And it's essentially ran by the same train that Jesus was summoned in.
Yeah, it's Story Trains.
Yeah, Story Trains, yeah.
And so Story Lord and Rick have a big fight. And I love how Rick basically bested him, but Story Lord was so motivated that he was able to just fight through it.
Yeah, he
when you
shot,
when you really want it. I don't remember what happened, but I know that Story Lord was effectively stopped, and he fucking Undertaker sat up through it. Was like, when you want it enough, anything's possible type shit. And but Rick winds up. Well, what happens is Morty channels the words of the ghost of Joseph Campbell to the alien equivalent of Dan Harmon, and those words
to essentially give up on writing.
Yeah, and those words cause the alien equivalent of Dan Harmon to give up on writing, and he stops pushing the wheel, which causes everybody's motivation to stop channeling into Story Lord, which gives Rick the edge in the fight.
One of them was to sign up for a porn site. But you had to put in your email or something like that?
It was too much until he got his motivation back.
And then the other one was he didn't want to work, and then the other one did want to work only so that he didn't have to pick up guitar.
Yeah, only so that he wouldn't have to keep trying to learn guitar.
Yeah. It was so
I love how, we just write any number on the golf cart. Like, why even do that? Fuck it. Just super fuck it. But so after Rick effectively incapacitates Story Lord, now that Story Lord has lost his motivation, the alien equivalent of Dan Harmon has to walk up and suffocate Story Lord. And that's how the episode ends. And so, what do you think your favorite part of that episode was?
The fact that Rick made his own dolls, but he made them so cheap that he wasn't even willing to get the hair right. And then Joseph Campbell tells him that he has to kill Story Lord, and instead of him just letting him kill him whatever way he wants, he says, no, you have to do it with my plushie that I made. And so he ends up strangling Story Lord with the plushie for some reason.
That's ridiculous, bro.
What about you, bud?
Man, whenever Mr. Twist was coming at retcon, you were born with no bones, and he just fucking flops gnarly to the ground like a pile of fucking noodles, bro.
Yeah. That was pretty horrible.
God damn it. That shit melted me whenever it happened. But it was a great episode. But let's keep it going because I feel like we're like way off into this motherfucker. This has been a long episode.
We'll cut through it. We'll get through these last ones pretty quick.
In worst case scenario, it's too long and people won't listen. They can fuck off. But the next one's Analyze Piss.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic episode.
Has everything, man.
Hell, it even has Mr. Nimbus. It starts with Mr. Nimbus fight over a fort on an island.
Yeah, because he feels like it's basically like an affront to him.
Well, but they never really go off into it.
Well, I mean, you can tell it clearly pissed him off because it was such a good front.
At the end of the day, they have to blow up the fort, and Nimbus is like, "This is what I wanted," and pieces out.
Yeah.
Wonky dudes keep trying to fight Rick, and Rick just melts one.
Yeah, like it was a Cookie Magneto gets kneecapped and like literally all that's left is his shins and his feet.
Bro,
he's over it. This is when he becomes self-actualized, like he becomes kind of like self-aware.
Well, I mean, this is the episode where he accepts therapy and starts going regularly and shit. So this is like a lot of growth out of Rick right here. And so one of them comes in after he kills Cookie Magneto and calls Rick a drunk piece of shit, basically. And so Rick goes to therapy, and Wong tells him to just ignore these guys.
Yeah.
And it works. And Jerry winds up beating up Pissmaster, who Pissmaster shows up at their house and starts just spraying piss all over their house.
Saying how he's going to piss on Summer.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Summer a golden shower, and that's what triggers Jerry. And Jerry's like, no. You're
and he becomes what is it, Flamingo Dad, right?
Yeah, because he literally beats Pissmaster up.
Beats the piss out of Pissmaster
with a flamingo.
Yeah.
And so he winds up getting a sticky orb. From the Transdimensional Council of Orbsmen, or what the fuck ever they decided to call this dumbass shit.
And he also he goes viral. He goes viral.
Yeah, well, that's how he got the attention of the Transdimensional Council, right? They are always keeping track of what's happening on social media and shit. They're like, they give a fuck about the public eye. Like, it's all about the public eye. It's real fucking stupid how it works, but
it's essentially just like a popularity contest.
I love how Jerry doesn't know what to do with the orb, and he's trying to use it, and he like accidentally turns the microwave on.
I was like, did you mean to turn the microwave on?
And I love how Rick's like, dude, if I give this guy power like me, he's gonna wind up miserable like me. We should definitely not do that. But they make him do it, and he gives him a suit that's powered by the orb. Right? It's a Iron Man orb with a fucking orb. And Jerry kills an entire planet that was hosting a Space Hitler meetup. And it turns out that there was no one on the planet but the Space Hitlers, coincidentally enough.
Yeah.
But Rick, out of things to fight, starts drinking.
Yeah.
Right?
He goes to a bar, which essentially seems to be his like stomping ground. It's the bar that you kind of always see him in whenever something's about to go down. And the bartender ends up seeing like two young adults talking about Flamingo Dad.
And how big a piece of shit Pissmaster is, and who could ever even possibly relate to that.
Yeah, and so...
Of course, Rick, the king of shit.
And so he ends up grabbing a sixer and heading to his house.
Yeah.
And that's when you come to find out that he took his own life, and he tries to bring him back, but it's too far gone. He's
scrambled. Blah, 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 blah. His eyes are going in different directions and shit. It's fucked.
And so he ends up putting him out of his misery again, since he brought him back. And as while all that's going on, his daughter comes up to the door because she ended up talking shit about him on her podcast. Everyone's got a podcast now, fucking idiots.
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to say those mean things. You haven't been responding to Mom. I'm just really worried.
Yeah.
You just tell me everything's okay, please.
And so it ends up forcing Rick to pick up the mantle to become Pissmaster.
So that he can redeem Pissmaster in his daughter's eyes.
Yeah, and so he ends up putting what's essentially it's not a neutrino bomb, it's another kind of bomb, on the top of the tallest building on Orphan Island.
And the orphans fighting the bomb cannot stress enough that they do not know what they're doing and that they're 8 years old.
And so the councils pick up that Pissmaster's turning a new leaf and becoming a good guy and kind of taking care of all these like catastrophes that are going on and want him to be invited into the council, which really pisses Jerry off because he tells him, hey, you're being really short-sighted. You clearly don't know how to, you know, turn a leaf and you'll become a better person. So maybe, we should discuss your status in the...
Yeah, like, how about this? You go deliver that orb to this dude you don't want to deliver this orb to, or you're out of the orb circle.
Yeah. And so he ends up finding out that... He ends up trying to give him the orb, finding out that...
Which, real quick, Jerry getting a space Mitsubishi Lancer. Shout out Mitsubishi. I'm aware of their brand.
Yeah. So
give me money, Mitsubishi.
He ends up bringing the whole family in to the.
There is flight crew.
Yeah, there's flight crew.
Except Rick.
Yeah, of course. And there was this the same episode where he's like he wants to make him a part of the family, or was that another thing? That's not that important. Whatever. Well, anyway, so, he ends up flying off with a bomb, Batman style, trying to get it off of the tallest building on Orphan Island, right?
Yeah.
And essentially, what ends up happening is Jerry starts fighting him. He gets a little pissed off.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, so I mean, Jerry's like, bro, you're taking this orb even if I have to give it to you by force, effectively. Yeah. And everybody realizes that Jerry's turned shitheel fighting a guy who's trying to save an island full of orphans.
Yeah. And so he's like, I think even the orphans are like, hey, when did whatever Flamingo Dad turn shitheel,
As they're recording it type shit.
Yeah. And it's so that he ends up getting it off the planet, and essentially like. You thought it was really funny that he flushes himself out of the piss suit.
Yeah, he literally fucking toilet bowl swirls his way out.
Yeah. And he also gives piss popsicles to the orphans. Pisticles, yeah. Piss.
And heat-seeking pistols.
Fucking
A.
And so from there, they just decide to take the orb away from Jerry, shit on Rick, and basically say the whole family's trash.
No orbs for anyone.
Yeah, no orbs for anyone.
But everybody in the family believes that Rick went way out of his way to give Jerry a win.
Yeah.
And Rick appears to be cool with just letting that be the paradigm, but he just can't live with the burden of what's gone down. So he tries to pull Morty in so that he can share the burden with somebody, and shows Morty the note and is like, bro, I just had to tell somebody. I couldn't just sit on that. And Morty's like, bro, you expecting me to? And immediately goes and shows everybody. And
yeah, and Jerry comes out in his underwear because the suit essentially fell apart without the sticky orb.
It literally fell apart around him. It was great.
And so he's like, they basically take back everything good that they had to say about Rick because he essentially told everybody that Jerry had gotten someone to kill himself.
Well, I mean, Rick was like, man, I thought it was pretty cool I was withholding that information. Shit. Mm-hmm. But that's effectively where the episode ends, right?
Yeah.
What do you think your favorite part of that episode was?
When they're cutting it with the rounded off scissors and saying how they're only, he's saying the bomb, the guy.
Oh my God, the
suit.
safety scissors.
Yeah, the safety scissors. And he's like, I can't stress this enough. I'm 8 years old and I have no idea what I'm doing.
That was great. Really that was hilarious. Really, really good laugh. I think my favorite part was when he's first going back to therapy and he's got the guy, the little menial bad guy who
that's right, yeah.
tried to attack
called
him,
called
him an alcoholic. He's got this fool literally in a like hydraulic chamber where they're sucking the fluids out of him, and like at the beginning of the talk with Wong, he's still clearly like alive, right? By the end of it, he's just dead as fuck with all his fluids pumped out of him.
He's like literally, you can see like whatever you want to call it. It's not whatever skeleton thing that's left. You can just literally see him flat almost.
He's sucked dry.
Yeah.
And Wong goes, "Is he okay?" And Rick goes, "Is everything that happens in this office confidential?" She replies,
Everything but homicide. Or
everything but murder. Rick goes, "Then he's fine." And so it's just the way that Rick was like, "Oh yeah, he's fine. Fuck off." Like just that little exchange right there really took
Wong building boundaries was really good though too. Like you can't just come in here. That was great.
Oh, the whole thing about being a fly.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah.
When he turned Goldenfold into a fly.
And he got
no, you're gonna respect me and my people who are my other patients if you're gonna get help.
Yeah, turned him into essentially what he's always wanted to become, which was a shit-eating fly.
Yeah, and he was like, "Bro, so free of burden."
Yeah,
so great. But so the next episode is a Rick and King Mortimer, where Morty becomes King of the Sun.
Such a stupid episode.
Ridiculous.
So they end up going to an asteroid or a meteor that only comes every once.
Pop up on an asteroid.
Yeah, pop up on an asteroid that only comes around every so many years.
Millennia.
Oh yeah,
whatever.
And they end up getting essentially this food that's a pop up, and he wants to just be part of the whole scene. So Rick is eating a sentient hot dog.
Yeah, there's a vendor there who's selling food to people who are tired of the line.
And they're like literally like sentient.
Which turns out to be people who are being paid to stand there in line.
Yeah. They end up coming out that Rick asked him, like, what are they doing standing there? And he's like, oh, the venue pays us to be here. And he's like, knew it.
Which this is also the point in the season where Rick replaces himself with a robot whenever they offer Morty so they offer these two knights offer Morty a sword, and Morty inevitably takes it against
Rick's best efforts to keep him from doing it.
Yeah, Rick advises him not to, and Morty just goes ahead and does it. And whenever he does that, Rick gets real butthurt and replaces himself with a robot.
Yeah, he calls him. He basically
they don't reveal this till the next episode.
Yeah, he calls him a boring old man
a boring old drunk.
Boring old drunk, and it really hurts his feelings. And so the whole thing is that the Knights of the Sun, one of the knights gives him the sword, offers him a sword because his basically ability to just not, to be so selfless, and he doesn't want to take the sword. He was
virtuous, right? Like he came there with a plan, with a goal, and like even though he could have found a path of lesser resistance to that end goal, he stuck to his path. And I think that was the thing that like the knightly dudes like saw. They're like, "Oh, this guy is like got some backbone."
So the knight, one of the knights, ends up stabbing himself in the chest, so that it'll force him to take the sword. He gets transported to the sun, where he's essentially going to be knighted to becoming one of the Knights of the Sun. But in doing such, you have to cut off your penis and throw it into the sun, and he can't let go of his favorite appendage.
Absolutely. He's like, okay, so do I just leave?
Is there a sword dispensary or whatever he said?
Yeah, is there like a sword bin?
A sword bin. And so, again, here comes now what is Robot Rick to essentially get him out of the mess that he's created, to get him, so he ends up telling, like...
so the King of the Sun is like, bro, you can't leave. Yeah. Homie gave up his life so that you could have that sword. You're going to pick it up.
And so now you have to fight me to be able to
leave.
And if you can best me or die, it's up to you, And so Rick makes an AI or sword that has AI in it that has watched Blade and really enjoyed it. And so he essentially doesn't have to learn from... like mastering the sword along with the fight. It will already win a battle. And so he's bested, sacrifices himself to the sun, essentially making Morty the king of the sun. And he tells the knights that he will come every other Sunday, and if he doesn't come, he'll come one Sunday a month. And if that doesn't happen,
it's like, I'm gonna be here every other Sunday, and if I'm not here that Sunday, I'll be here the next time.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, keep waiting.
Because I'm going on vacation.
Yeah, effective immediately.
And so he ends up getting portaled back into Earth, and then here comes the Sun Knights to essentially harass him into taking up the duties that he's been given, you know?
I don't think they were trying to harass him in anything. I think they're just there to, like, they're his knights.
Yeah.
They follow him around. Like,
they
they're literally just on his hip. As their king, they're going to be on his hip. And I love how they were very clear about, we would literally rather die than fuck off.
Yeah. And so, essentially, he ends up ruining their entire basis for being knights and what is essentially their religion through, middle school science and critical thinking. Come to find out that everything that they've said is true. One of the knights that was taking a shit ends up coming out as they proceed to retire and want to do nothing but heroin for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So he has the sun staff, which
at this point, they go to the ye old neutral ground.
Yeah, which is on, was it Jupiter or some other?
Oh, who knows?
Some one of the planets. And so he proceeds to show that he has the sun staff, and a fight ensues over the sun staff.
Because whoever has it rules the fucking galaxy, evidently.
Yeah, and so then from there, he's just like, whatever, I'm done. Like, he ends up just going back to Earth and kind of just letting things just progress, like degress, however you want to say it, just continue to go off into chaos. As Rick is doing everything in his power to help Morty, which is making him very unsettled and making you very unsettled through the entire episode. You were like, dude, I do not like this Rick. Like, this Rick is giving me anxiety.
It sincerely gave me anxiety. Like, every time where Rick should have been shitting on him and he wasn't.
Yeah.
And we were all just kind of sitting there waiting, and Morty kept having to be like, so...
Yeah, like, when's the other shoe gonna
I was like, bro, the whole time I was right there with Morty. It was like, but so Solar War 1 starts, right? And as Morty goes to fuck off, all of the military and technological capacity of the warring planets increases exponentially, right? Because they're warring and like that, spurs fucking growth. But, so Morty tries to go track down the Knights of the Sun so that they can reestablish the Knights of the Sun and get order. And those guys are so high on heroin, and they're made out of like some special carbon, so they can't fucking OD. And Morty's like, these guys seem like shit, and Rick's like, I don't know, man, they seem pretty fucking cool to me. Like, can't die, cool.
And so they give the explanation of like why their veins are so adapt to taking in heroin. And he's like, hey, fine, like, turns out everything I told you was a lie and you were right. Come help us. And they're like, nah, we're good.
It's like, actually, fuck you entirely.
Yeah. And then they somehow ends up kind of convincing.
Well, he agrees. He agrees to cut his own dick off.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, but you'd be doing it for no reason. And he's like, that's the point.
Yeah. And so he kind of has like, I think, what is it? Rick says, do you want to have a little time to say goodbye? And so he goes into the restroom, and then Rick comes in and he's like, I can get you out of this. Just, give me some time. And, the best part was whenever they run into the witch, and the witch throws the bones to...
I can see it in the bones.
Yeah, and he's like, the bones are on point.
Oh, the bones fucking nailed it.
Yeah. And so to prove that it's actually Morty's dick and not a witch dick or a hologram dick or any of the other kinds of penises, they go through several different tests or different kind of different kind of
technological thresholds, right? So like, make sure that you're not deceiving.
Yeah, and one of he's like, this is to make sure that it isn't a witch dick, and then he proceeds to pull out what it looks to be like a dick with a little witch hat on it. And he's like,
a green dick with a witch hat. It's great.
He's like, I was just testing y'all, and then he like throws it off to the side.
Nothing gets by her. Nothing gets by the bones.
And so, what ends up happening is Rick and Morty sacrifice themselves throwing themselves into the sun to essentially stop everything from happening. And he also portals into the was it like the Jupiter people or the Venus people and takes the staff and gives it back to the sun, essentially restoring order to the galaxy.
I love how the people who still had the staff were like, doesn't matter if they're getting back together. We have the staff. We'll wait to see. And it's like, yoink.
I guess
we're going to hear them out.
Yeah, I guess we
so quick. They changed their tune immediately.
So what about this one? What was your favorite part in this episode?
The Pink Floyd montage.
Yeah.
Whenever they were all fighting and they had the Pink Floyd playing and they were showing everybody getting killed and the technology advancing.
Yeah, that was really
good. Yeah, dude. That's tops.
Well, my favorite part was at the end of the entire episode you find out that the worms are sentient, and one of the worms that got away ends up becoming a cop and stopping like the trafficking of these like worm people things. Sentient hot dogs.
Little crunchy dudes.
Yeah. All right, man. So now we're on to
the actual season finale.
Yeah.
Rictional Mortpoons Rickmas Mortcation. If you can fucking spit that out 10 times fast, I'll give you money.
Bro, this episode here, definitely a little bit of a take on season 2, I think, right? Whenever there are like 1,000 more episodes. And they kind of like, you could kind of feel like maybe it's season 2 or season 3 where Dan Harmon's heart kind of isn't in it for right now. And he's like, I guess we'll go on for 1,000 more episodes. Or no, I think it's actually season 1. And he's like 1,000 episodes whenever.
Rick and Morty, 1,000 years.
Yeah, 1,000 years. So kind of like a playoff of that one, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So go ahead and take it off on this one, wherever you want to start. Because it's a Christmas episode.
Fuck y'all incels. How about that? That's where we're going to start this episode. I haven't talked near enough shit about the people watching this podcast.
They would definitely drop a lightsaber into the crust of the earth because they're pieces of shit that don't know how to use a lightsaber.
The people who watch our podcast, hands would tremble the moment that fucking lightsaber hit their hands. They wouldn't even have the balls to turn it on. I literally don't think that anybody who watches this would have the like gusto to actually be like, yeah, that'd be dope.
Does it make the noise?
Of
course it makes the noise.
And so while they're out there testing out that,
yeah,
he drops it straight down and it starts falling towards the center of the fucking earth. And it turns out Rick has a whole bunch of sub-basements. So they go down.
One being a sushi shop.
They go down the first like 3 floors trying to catch it, and they realize they're going to have to get out in front of it. And so they go down to floor 15. They realize they've gone too far. And so Morty, against Rick's will, takes them to floor 10, where it's revealed that dun dun dun. It's Rick. Been a fucking fake Rick. They got a robo Rick in the house, while regular Rick fucking refuses to shower and looks like shit and is trying to track down motherfucking Rick Prime. And he's got one of the like murder bots from the obvious trap, and he's trying to see if he can track him down anywhere with that.
Yeah, he ends up finding like a tape and a tape with a tape that blows up, a chip that blows up, revealing that
there's
finally
like an
SD card in the
there's multiple layers of explosions.
Yeah, until he's finally able to get what he actually needs. And Rick is having like Robot Rick is so ecstatic to be not forced to be a robot anymore. And Morty's like,
I don't have to pretend to love your family anymore.
And he's like, fuck that. Get your ass upstairs and start watching Miracle on 34th Street with 200 more streets that he had given to Jerry as a gift.
Yeah, you go up there and lie to my family to make you love him even more.
Yeah.
Type shit. But so he drops the saber. They go back upstairs. Robo Rick is doing everything in his power to get the family to realize that he's a robot without literally saying the thing that's going to cause his self-destruction, which is that I'm a robot.
Yeah. And as that's happening, the president flies in.
The presidential Black Hawk lands on the front lawn. Yeah. Morty goes to deal with it.
He ends up crying in the president's arms.
Yeah, because the president's being so mean about him even wanting a lightsaber and like berating him about how him wanting it stupid, him making the mistake is stupid, and how Star Wars is stupid.
As horrible as Rick and Morty fans are, Star Wars fans are probably 100 times worse in the president's eyes. He's like, fuck you, losers. The only thing good about it was the first 3 episodes, and then y'all had to ruin it. The first 3 movies were the only thing good about it, and then Disney had to ruin it.
Shit on George Lucas said that basically if you start with a turd, you end with a turd.
Yeah.
Like, bro, that guy sucked, and so it makes no real shock that it sucks now.
Yeah.
Considering it started with someone who sucks.
And so he, like I said, he ends up crying in the president's arm, and the president's like, well, don't worry, we'll take care of this.
I shouldn't have talked to you like a UN official.
Yeah. So great. And so they end up going to the 10th floor, basically, essentially.
Well, they go down to the bottom of the sub-basement.
Yeah, the bottom of the sub-basement. Yeah,
Morty and the president and a whole bunch of scientists go down to the bottom of the sub-basement so that they can try and build a giant drill that can go and intercept the lightsaber in time to prevent it from hitting the center of the earth and it causing the end of the world.
And essentially what happens is they get a scientist, but the scientist doesn't account for speed.
He makes a very critical, obvious mistake, and he's like, well...
Good luck getting a scientist on Christmas.
Yeah, good luck finding a better scientist on Christmas. Like, fuck off.
And so he ends up walking off, and then here comes Rick, and Rick is like, what are all y'all people doing in my sub-basement? Honestly, hey, you two, don't touch anything, because I have everything in here that if someone else touches it, you die.
Yeah, don't touch my shit or you'll die. And that's not a threat. That's how advanced my shit is.
Yeah.
And one fucking dude touches one thing with one finger and just
literally like almost looks like this. Like it has like a little arm.
Yeah.
And that's it.
He just like falls into a pile of fucking green crystals.
Yeah. And he's like, look at the
oh, it looks like someone found my I told you so dispenser.
Yeah. Oh, so great. And so they essentially ask him to fix the drill. And he's like, your drill is covered in mediocrity, and the fact that you want me to touch it is basically a disservice to me and science.
And they're like, well, what the fuck would you do? And he's like, I thought you'd never ask. And he busts out his own fucking lightsaber.
And proceeds to basically mock...
It's got a gyroscopic rocket on it, so that it stays perfectly upright no matter what, and it's propelled.
And but proceeds to berate Morty for even wanting one. And also says, why would I give you one? It's something that you want. Like, I wouldn't do that. And tells, he has artificial intelligence in it as well. Or not really artificial. Yeah, I guess it is AI.
It is.
That will update him as soon as it tracks it down and destroys it.
Yeah.
And he proceeds to bug the AI that he's created. And it becomes sentient and essentially goes off course by turning off the gyroscope.
Well, it's like, cool, you want to control me?
Yeah.
Do it then. I'm turning everything about me off.
Yeah.
And it goes and lands, it busts out of the Earth's crust in Italy. And,
just sabers everyone.
This thing just, like, turns sideways and just decapitates, like, 6 people who are sitting there eating lunch.
Yeah, it just sabers, like, everybody who's essentially having, like, breakfast in Italy. And the president... stands there for about what is maybe a minute and goes from, well, we'll just blame this on the Saudis. Yeah. The Saudis did it. Or no, we'll blame this on the Saudis. You know what? I think the Saudis did it. The Saudis did do it. So in essentially 3 steps, he went from blaming them, confirming the blame, and then solidifying the blame as being the ultimate truth.
It's like coming up with it as an idea, affirming the idea, and working it into as an actual belief.
Yeah.
Like, homie straight up made that what it needed to be in his
turned
brain.
it into a reality in an instant.
So quick. But so they realize that this lightsaber isn't going to do the trick anymore, and so they ask Rick to basically fix up this drill so that they can actually use the original plan of the drill and get there in time, which Rick obliges. And Rick goes to get into the drill, and Morty's like, no, bro, you're not getting in this drill with me. Like, you're a fuck up right now. Yeah. I'm not feeling you right now. Me and the president are going to go. And so him and the president go. They intercept the lightsaber, but the president turns shitheel. And it turns out he's the fucking evil empire.
And he loves Star Wars.
Steals the lightsaber, is the biggest sucking Star Wars dork.
Yeah.
And dips off on the plug with Morty's lightsaber.
Essentially, like, don't contact me. It's my lightsaber now. You suck. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, is it that he wound up with the red lightsaber? Because Morty comes in and has a big fight. And he has the lightsaber the whole time. He's fighting the robots with the lightsabers.
He ends up getting another. I don't know how he gets a lightsaber.
Either way, the bottom line is the president fucking winds up
with the lightsaber.
With a lightsaber, and Morty winds up with a lightsaber, and they have a big fight.
Well, the thing is he ends up going back to the White House. He puts on a fruit bowl. He ends up kind of like waving it around and being a child. Living his best life.
That's what happens. Yeah. He fucking stole it.
Yeah.
And then dropped it.
Yeah.
And then fucking... That's right. And so Morty winds up with it again after the fact. And while Morty is going to get the lightsaber, the president launches the fucking White House off into space because he's convinced the Earth is going to explode.
And Rick, I think Rick helps him essentially get the lightsaber. Or no, Robot Rick gets reassembled, helps him retrieve
all while trying to get himself killed.
All while trying to get himself killed. Retrieves the lightsaber that the president had fall into the center of the Earth again. They proceed to follow him into space.
There's a big fight.
There's a big fight with clones and then robots and then clones that have lightsabers for hands, clones that have lightsabers for hands and feet, and then an ultra clone that has lightsabers for eyes and essentially kills every other clone robot around it.
Because it's just
looking around. And then he has the cantina. He has everything Star Wars decked out in the White House. And I remember at a certain part, before Morty gets there and after he addresses the world that he's in space because he gets busted, he calls someone on the red phone and is like, does anybody here know how to make eggs?
Well, he's like, what do you mean the presidential chef was out shopping?
Yeah. And he's like, well, do you know how to make an egg? What do you mean everybody knows how to make an egg?
That's funny shit.
And so that's when the fight ensues, and all of the lightsabers just kind of like this thing that it creates a gun that shoots tiny lightsabers. And it ends up hitting Robot Rick in the stomach.
And they all slide
down. And he's kind of pissed because it's not killing him. And he's, oh, thank God, they're sliding down.
Oh, look, they're sliding.
Yeah.
They're sliding.
And so then in MacGuffin, Red Herring Rick comes in and basically shoots a portal.
Well, so the tiny lightsabers that got shot out of the Gatling gun that shoots tiny lightsabers stuck in Robo Rick and then slid and fell down straight down and knocked a hole in the bottom of the White House, which is out in space. So of course it sucks everybody out, and as they're getting sucked out to certain death, Rick portals them back into the garage.
And so the president, I think, asked him he's like, hey Morty, how about
before he even hits up Morty, he goes, hey, so Rick, right now might not be the best time to ask for a new White House, would it?
Yeah.
So he asks Rick for a new White House. Then he asks Morty for an Uber. Then he finally fucks off.
Yeah, it was so great. That was probably one of the best parts. And so then
Robo Rick dies.
Robo Rick's dying, and he's like, I'm coughing up oil, Morty. And then regular Rick... C-134 Rick is like...
C-137.
C-137 Rick is like, how long does it take to die?
Yeah, like you're taking so long to die. Yeah. And then as he's leaving, Morty's like, you need to shower. And as he's like going down into the sub-basement, he pokes his head up real quick, just enough so his eyes can peek over and make eye contact with Morty. And goes, hey, if you want to come help me, you can.
Yeah.
He brings him down and shows Morty where there's fucking an infinite number of
places
Rick primes where he got scanned and then he started duplicating, and so it seems like there's a bunch of Rick primes out there. He's cloned himself a whole bunch. But that's going to be season 7, hunting down his nemesis, maybe in the foreground, maybe in the background, but now Morty's a part of it because he asked for it. So
he starts spitting and shaking him like the first season.
Like the end of season 1, yeah. So what was your favorite part of that episode?
the president being a complete jerk and then actually being a huge
the twist.
Star Wars nerd.
The twist.
Yeah, it was so great. I don't know that one, or I didn't account for Speed.
Those are both great moments.
What about you, bud?
I'm coughing up wall, Morty.
I'm coughing up wall, Morty.
Yeah, that shit. Whenever he did that, I was like, oh my god.
Such a great.
It gave me a big chuckle when that happened.
All right, guys. So we're gonna check if this actually recorded. I hope it didn't, so that y'all guys hope you get the last episode, but nothing recorded, and you cry.
Bro, don't even say that. Hold on.
I'm just kidding, man.
Oh, we're golden.
No, we're not. He's lying. That's never recorded, and you're gonna cry into your Rick Fruit Loops or some kind of Rick cereal.
Guys, I don't know what y'all are gonna do without, because y'all need a good alpha male in y'all's lives. Y'all need someone talking shit. A lot of y'all ain't got strong father figures. You need someone in your life to beat you down a little bit so that you can like build some backbone, bro. We're gonna forge some of you incels into being better people, bro.
You take a shower.
You need to go out and get your dick sucked. You need to go out, take a fucking shower in the morning, and take what's fucking yours. Not being a little limp-wristed little Dan Harmon alien character from
heating up hot dogs on your knees.
Yeah,
with a lighter.
Yeah, bro. Half-drink beer and a fucking rotten lemon in your fucking fridge, bro. Go get some goddamn groceries. Go work out. Go meditate. Go get some groceries. Drink plenty of water. Take care of your fucking selves. We'll catch you guys next season.
Next season, brother.
Them Portal Boys been podcasting.
Peace.
Peace. Can't believe I actually said something nice to that fucking pack of incels there at the end.